Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Week 13 of the High School Football Preview Show on YouTube, Facebook, and Public Access Channel 13, the Altoona Mirror High School Football Preview Show. I am joined once again on Week 13. Again, I can't believe I said that. Mike Boydum to my right, your left. Andy Stein over here. Dan Eisenberg to the side of the camera. We're going to get right into these games. We only have 5 we're going to talk about, but they're pretty big deals. The first one, Juniata Valley, the number 2 seed, versus Bishop Guilfoyle, the number 1 seed. This game is Friday night at Mansion Park, 7 o'clock. After seeing what Bishop Guilfoyle has done in their first 2 games, they haven't even given up a point. If you're an odds maker, what are the odds for Juniata Valley to stay in this game and to pull an upset?
Well, so I think this is the 8th time these teams have played in the playoffs since 2012, which is a lot.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And I would say in most of those, you probably would have said something very similar and thought, hey, Juniata Valley is not going to compete in this game. But we do know Juniata Valley beat BG once. They beat them 9-3 a few years ago. And actually in 2021, in the district championship game, Juniata Valley only lost 24-21.
Was that Lambert Palmer's senior year?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that was a close game. I remember that on the radio.
So the Juniata Valley, one of the interesting things I think about this is that last year Juniata Valley was totally depleted at the end of the season. They had all these kids injured, and I called Coach Musser and I said, "Are you guys going to enter the playoffs?" Because they were the 8th seed. And he said, "We want to enter the playoffs and we want to get some experience." So they entered the playoffs, played BG, lost 49-0. But look at that. These kids got that experience. They said, this is the level we need to be at. Went out this season, had a great season after the opening game hiccup, and they're in the district championship game a year after being the 8th seed and losing 49-0. I think that's pretty impressive.
What about if you're Musser and his staff? I mean, how much of this week is game planning and how much of it is getting inside their heads and saying they're beatable?
Yeah.
Even though they've won, what was it, 38-0 and 42 or 28-0 and 42-0? They beat Purchase Line. They shut them out, right?
Yeah, BG hasn't allowed a point in the playoffs.
How much of that is psychological coaching this week for Juniata Valley coaches? And how much of it is actual, we're going to take out Kissel and we're going to make you beat us throwing on the ball?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, I think Coach Melzer has to, remind those guys, hey, we beat them in the district championship a few years ago. It wasn't all that long ago. I was here for that game, I remember. But at the same time, like I got to commend Coach Musser for sending his team to the playoffs like that last year as the 8th seed. And you knew it probably wasn't gonna go well for them. And I'd be surprised if it's 49-0 again this time around. So great season.
And you can also say that Musser has learned stuff, I imagine, too, because like Justin Wheeler has coached in a billion of these things. And Musser can sit there and say, hey, I'm not a first timer either. I've been around this. I got to think that's a helpful thing for them.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple of years when he took over, Mike Smith had done a good job down there at Juniata Valley, and it was a little bit rocky at the beginning, but he's really turned Juniata Valley into one of the better teams in 1A. And this year they're a little bit different than usual. I've said on the show before, they can pass the ball, which adds a little bit of extra element. And Andrew Clark is leading our coverage area in rushing yards. He's actually from Williamsburg, plays for Juniata Valley. He's leading the area in rushing yards. So, Valley probably has to get an early score in this one, I would think, because then that breaks up the shutout BG has had the whole whole postseason, and maybe that gives them some confidence and puts a little doubt in BG's mind.
Yeah, the objective for the big time favorite is it's always like don't let them in the game, don't let them believe they can do it. If they could get an early score, Juniata Valley is going to believe that they can do it.
And that's what Justin Wheeler said. He said the times they've lost to Homer Center was that they let them hang around and give them belief. And they took care of business last week, going up 21-0 before Homer Center could even really get into the game. So that's probably what they'll be trying to do again. So it's up to Valley to keep that from happening.
And 2 observations for me was that BG got dusted in that Laurel Highlands game by McCort. Didn't even phase him at all.
No.
Because you think that was a prideful thing. They're going up against a rival Catholic school. And then also the thing about Juniata Valley, they lost that first game of the year. And have they lost since?
They lost to Mount Union.
They lost to Mount Union. But again, I just thought since then, only one loss. And I think that's impressive too. But we'll wait and see what happens. You have to get your mirror Saturday morning to find out. Our next game, Hollidaysburg, 6-1, going on the road. They're going to be at Danville High School Friday night at 7. They're playing the District 2 champ, Delaware Valley. The one thing I know about Delaware Valley, and maybe Mike knows this already, their head coach is Keith Olsemer. Keith Olsemer, I'm old enough. If you're old enough too, he's played tight end at Penn State, played for Jopa, and that's kind of cool that he's coaching Delaware Valley. But it's also kind of cool that Homer DeLatre is coaching Hollidaysburg. What do you know about Delaware Valley?
Yeah, Olsemer was actually all Big Ten first team in 1996.
There you go. See,
he was in camp with the Ravens, and
he's a big dude.
He was in camp with the Ravens. He was probably going to make the team as like a third string tight end, but he decided to retire because he was just tired of football. Went to Juniata Valley. Went to Delaware Valley for a social studies teaching job. Became the head football coach, and he's been there since. And he's really built this program. They've played a lot of District 6 teams over the years. They played State College 4 times and never have beaten them, because this Delaware Valley used to be a 6A school. And in 2020, when Altoona won the district championship, their road was ended by Delaware Valley. Delaware Valley beat them, and I believe that game was in Danville. Hollidaysburg's also played at Danville several times, and they've had success there. So this is a field that's familiar to them, and they've had some success. But I bet Hollidaysburg's just anxious to get back out on the field and have a 0-0 game and get back to the groove of what they had been doing after almost seeing it all end last week.
Without playing in a hurricane, too. Anyway, but for you, I want to ask you as a player, how good is it for them that they had a game where they were up against it? I don't know if you were in here with me, I think Friday night. We thought, oh my God, they're going to lose. Yeah. They're going to lose this game. Your first loss is going to be at home in your last game of the season, but yet they persevered. How big of a deal does that mean 16, 17, 18-year-old kids?
I would say, this is why coaches, they want to see their teams lose in the regular season. Not now, but they would like to see their team lose a game in the regular season because of games like they had last week where nobody was happy on Hollidaysburg's side at all, for sure. So, if they can watch the film, they can learn from their mistakes. They can get back out there next Friday and just forget last week ever happened because, mentally they're going to need it for sure.
Any stars we know about from Delaware Valley, or do we want to save that for your preview this week in the mirror?
I do. You know who the running back for Delaware Valley is? Yeah. Mike Iuzzolino.
Oh, you know what? That's funny you should say that, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, he's right. Mike Iuzzolino he
has 1,300 yards rushing.
Yes. So. Anyways, our next game we're going to talk about is 3A first round. It's the Mountain Mentality boys, Penn Cambria versus Brockway, the District 9 champ. And this game's at Brockway, Friday night 7. Before Mike talks, how did Brockway get a home? Because my brother, John Franco, was arguing with me that this game wasn't at Brockway. And I'm going, yes, it is. I saw it. I think he goes, how can they host a play? You said it's a nice stadium, right?
Nice stadium,
but how did they get that?
So this is technically the first round of the state playoffs. Okay. Even BG versus Juniata Valley, even though it's a District 6 championship game, it's the first round of the PIAA playoffs for both teams. So in the first round of the PIAA playoffs, if you are the top team on the bracket and your stadium meets the requirements, you are allowed to host a playoff game. So they were the top team on the bracket. They actually got a bye last week because District 5 didn't enter a 3A team. Last year, Somerset beat Brockway, but Somerset didn't enter the playoffs this year. And Brockway got a bye, and they get to host this game.
So, if Brockway hadn't been in another District 9 team there, could have been at their place. It wouldn't have been at Brockway still, right? Brockway is only getting this game because they're Brockways that hosting it.
Well, Brockway's getting it because they have a nice enough stadium and they're on the top of the bracket because it's the first round. If Penn Cambria I don't know whether Penn Cambria Stadium meets the requirements, but if it did, and they were the team on top of the bracket, they could possibly be hosting.
I think Penn Cambria doesn't care though, because they're I think they're fearless to me from what I read in our paper and what I see on TV.
Yeah, I mean, just one more thing about that. A couple of years ago, I think Grove City hosted Central because Central was not too pleased about that. So
okay, well maybe Penn Cambria is a little peeved then.
But no, Penn Cambria. In fact, they were actually saying last week after they beat Huntington, we're probably going to Brockway and we're looking forward to it. Like they were. Yeah. It was kind of amazing last week. Because I know BG enjoys winning district championships, but they've won so many that you wouldn't think it was that weird if they were like, okay, well, we're looking forward to the next thing. But Penn Cambria, this is only their second ever district championship, and they've already got the mentality of being like, hey, this is good, we won this, but we're looking forward to the next game. When I talked to the players after the game when they beat Huntington, they were already, hey, we want to make it as far as we can. We're looking forward to Brockway, and we're looking forward to going up to that, making that trip, and winning that game.
How big of a deal is it? We talk about, I always hear people say NFL is about players, college is about the coaches. Yeah. I think high school is a little bit about both, but the fact is, in Jason Grassie's first year back, they went to the District 6 championship, and they dominated. I mean, they dominated that game, and now he's got him here again. Now, I just think there's other things going on in our area with the really good high school coaching jobs. But as far as when people start sending their votes for Coach of the Year, I got to think he's right up there.
I would think so. Oh yeah, for sure. And brand new team, brand new coach, and still the same team. It's still basically the same team though. They're still at this point of the season. They still have a district title. It's just the wheel keeps on turning. And I will say for Penn Cambria, they're gonna like playing at Brockway. It's not only is it a nice stadium up there, beautiful town. I used to go to Brockway all the time.
Artificial turf field, correct?
Yeah, turf field. It's very nice there. I'm going to the game. I'm covering the game. I'm excited to go back there to cover a game there because, I have a lot of good memories and still keep in touch with some people up there. So. And
I think when Jason was the head coach the first time around, these kids were in all elementary school. So even though he's been an assistant with them, they knew him as that. Now they knew him as a head coach and smooth. I mean. Transition.
Another thing I wanted to say is I thought it was cool. The media went to go interview Blake Lilly after they won that game last week
over Huntington,
and because he had a huge game. He returned a punt for a touchdown, had a big 51-yard touchdown catch where he mossed a kid, and then he had an interception, set up another touchdown. And the first thing he said is, no, wait, hold on a second. I want my quarterback over here, Brady Jones. And he wanted to make sure he shared the credit. And I feel like that's the way Penn Cambria has been the last few seasons. They just don't have any, their egos are very small, and they want to share the credit between all of them, and they don't care who is the one that lifts them. And I think that's helped them have all the success.
And one of their players is my favorite is the Corbin Vinglish. And if you look at him and you're old and you don't go to YouTube and look up Cam Scattaboo, the running back from the Giants. They're built the same way. And they just run over people. The English does it as an offensive and defensive player. Scattaboo played at Arizona State. Mm-hmm. He's one of the reasons why they were in the playoffs last year. But Scattaboo played defense. He would run over players too. They look alike. They run the same.
Hey, our athlete of the week this week is Carter Muth, and his favorite player is
Cam Scattaboo. Look it up, old people. You'll like watching this kid play. Our next game we're going to look at Chestnut Ridge, the District 5 champ in 2A, is playing Steelton High Spire at Susquehanna High School. I know a little bit about Chestnut Ridge because they play teams in our area. What Steelton High Spire? Don't they have a lot of kids that are really good that go play Division I football?
They have had players like that, but I will say that since they've been forced to move up here to 2A, they haven't had as much success as they had at the 1A level. And actually, in this game last year, Bedford upset Steelton High Spire. So I'm sure that's going to be on Steelton High Spire's mind going into this. But Chestnut Ridge they have really caught fire the last couple weeks once the playoffs started, and I'm interested in this game because Steelton is just such it's like a football factory, and Chestnut Ridge has kind of had to go up against that when they've been in the state playoffs. All those years they had such good teams, they had to play Southern Columbia, and it was like they had really no chance to win those games. Whereas this year, Steelton High Spire playing up at 2A. Bedford beat them last year. Maybe this is a chance where Chestnut Ridge can win a state playoff game.
Yeah, and do you think kids pay attention to that? That like the Chestnut Ridge kids know the history? Or do you think Max is not? I mean, I can't imagine Max Shoemaker, who's one of the better coaches, if not top coaches. He's going up and goes, "Hey, this guy went to Penn State. This guy went to Virginia Tech. This guy went to Duke or something like that."
I can't imagine he's going to go too far into their history or anything like that with the kids anyway. But I think it should be the task at hand. Prepare for the game Friday, see what happens, because Steelton High Spire, like you said, Bedford beat them last year.
Was that the game that was at Claysburg?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. And Steel High's they're usually really good. I'm not trying to intimidate Chestnut Ridge because, hey, we can say it. I'm rooting for Chestnut Ridge to win this one. And then our last game we're going to look at here, Saturday's District 6 playoffs, 2A championship. Heck, if my Illinois Illini weren't playing at that time, I might pay the money to go see this. Richland, number 2 versus McCort Carroll, number 1. Is that Richland's only loss this year?
Yep.
Was it a close game?
No, it was actually not. Richland lost pretty lopsided, and they said that really stuck with them the rest of the year.
Yeah. Now Brandon Bailey, friend of the show. I mean, what are their chances in it? Are they going to hopefully get McCort? McCort Carroll is not going to take them seriously, kind of like the Buffalo Bills didn't take their opponent seriously. I mean, teams like that happens. That happens. But I mean, does Richland have a shot?
Well, I mean, I can't. I don't think that we're ever going to talk about a Richland game on this show and say they don't have a chance. They have been playing amazing since that game, and they've had to, because in 2A, if they wanted to have home games like they did the last 2 weeks, they knew they had to win out, because 9-1, if you went 8-2, you were not only not having a home game in the second round, you were on the road in the first round. So, I mean, this was a season where they had to go 9-1, and this was such a big rivalry. I think when this game happened during the regular season, it was on a Thursday, and so there was a ton of attention on the game, and I think the whole city of there was a lot of people there. It was a big attended game.
They played at the Point, or
it was on 9/11. I think it was like a 9/11 military appreciation type game or something.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people interested in this game, and this was the game that McCort was like, "Hey, this is the measuring stick for us," and they went into that game with that attitude and won it. So now the rules are kind of reversed, where Richland's like, "Hey, this team laid a beating on us, so we need to get back at them." And now it's Richland that goes into the game with something to prove. When they played the first time, it was McCort.
And maybe Brandon Bailey, the Richland coach, says, "Hey, look, 2 weeks ago, Du Bois got thumped 49-0 to Hollidaysburg, and then this past Friday night, unbelievably, Hollidaysburg had to score in the last minute to win their game." Is Richland going to be doing as much coaching up here as they're going to be doing?
Right. Well, the kids know what happened how far long ago was that, week 3, week 4. They remember what happened that week. I'm sure it's been in their minds all season since that happened. So I don't think Richland's going to have any shortage of being motivated for this game. So we'll see. That could be interesting.
Yes, we're going to get in right to our stuff now. The fun portion of our show here, the Andy's line of the week, and then we'll follow with Mike's stats, and then the cool names part.
Short steps. Short steps are better than long steps.
Yeah. What do we got?
So
short steps. Short steps is long steps. That's my impersonation of that guy.
At this point of the season, though, I mean, you get low on teams. A lot of our schools are done. You go outside the area. So Chestnut Ridge, I picked you guys this week because, hey, first District 5 title since 2020, I believe it was. I don't have any of your defensive stats, but you pitched a shutout against Berlin. I think it was a 13-0 game.
Yep.
Good for those guys. So defensive ends are Cade Emmerich and Caden Hinson, and the D tackles are Blake Conlon and Elijah Deal. Good luck against Steelton High Spire to those guys.
And Mike, what is your stat of the week?
Well, we're going to keep it right in District 5 with Chestnut Ridge because I also wanted to point out, we haven't talked about Chestnut Ridge a lot on this show this year, but I wanted to point out that they went into the District 5 playoffs as the number 4 seed. So then they upset the number 1 seed, Dusty Mountain, 22-10, and then they beat Berlin 13-0. And I want to point this out because this is an example of, BG does it every year. They play in the Laurel Highlands. They play this tough competition, and then they get into the 1A playoffs, and they are more than ready to play that competition because they've played tough competition all year. Chestnut Ridge is in the Laurel Highlands. They took their beating. They were 4-6 going into the playoffs, but they played a tough schedule, and when they got to the playoffs, they were ready to go and took care of Tussey Mountain and Berlin. And one stat I wanted to give for the stat of the week is that Jaden Imler has 1,203 yards rushing and 14 touchdowns, which is very impressive when you consider the competition that they've played this year.
There you go. And then finally, we're going to close out with
I wanna know what's the name of the game.
our cool names segment. And I was looking I wanted to get the teams that are playing teams in our area. So I went to Delaware Valley and Brockway. And Delaware Valley did have a kid named Tony Boo, B-O-O. Tony Boo. And I thought, that's a pretty cool name. I like that. But then my eyes kept going down the roster, and I saw senior Mike Iuzzolino. And if you don't know that name, you should, because he's one of the all-time great basketball players from our area. Played in the NBA for the Dallas Mavericks, played at Penn State and St. Francis. And the fact is, it's not like I said to Andy before the show, it's not like his name is John Smith. Like the coach for Michigan State football is John Smith. Geez, there's John Smiths all over the place. How many Mike Iuzzolinos? And if I showed an initiative, I would find out if he's related. But I know Mike had an older brother, Bobby Iuzzolino, that graduated with me from BG. Bobby lives in the D.C. area, so I don't think it's his kid. But Mike Iuzzolino.
And the Mike Iuzzolino did have a son, Mike Iuzzolino, but he already went to college and he actually played Division I basketball at Bryant and then transferred to St. Vincent to close out his career. So it's not his son.
And then people in the Altoona area, Jack and George's is one of the owners was an Iuzzolino. But again, I don't think they have any kids in Delaware Valley area, which you said is like on the New York border, New York, Pennsylvania border, near Stroudsburg.
So that Mike Iuzzolino, the kid, he probably went to play for his dad, right? His dad was an assistant at St. Vincent for a while.
Well, his dad was at Robert Morris, I think, at the time.
I met that Mike Iuzzolino when he was an assistant at St. Vincent. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
So.
And then our other cool name from Brockway, he's a freshman, Mike Iuzzolino, Delaware Valley senior. This guy, and again, my Italian took over because I was throwing names at Andy to see what he liked. This kid's name is Nico Inzana.
Oh, yeah.
Inzana. After football, I think he wants to go film what's the Goodfellas movie you like?
Oh,
I think
so
he wants to be in the next Goodfellas movie. Nico Inzana.
I don't think we should be endorsing high school kids to go be in a Goodfellas type
Well, maybe he wants to be an actor. He could want to be an actor.
One of my favorite movies.
How about the fact is that both names are Italian, which didn't even I thought that was so cool that there was a Mike Iuzzolino.
It's good.
But that's
wow, Scott picked Italian names. Shocking.
Next week it'll be all German. I'm going to go all German. I don't know who we're playing. We're going to go out there. We'll go Slavic. Maybe we'll do Slavic.
Oh, there we go.
But anyways, that's going to do it for week 13. We'll see how many teams we have left for week 14. Maybe we'll invite a high school coach on to join us to help us elongate the show if we only have one game to talk about. But that's going to do it for Mike Boyden, for Andy Stein, for Dan Eisenberg. I'm Scott Franca. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.